Hello students, good morning. In previous classes, we discussed almost 80% of the syllabus. That is what database, why database, what are various models we discuss we have, and how we use the levels and how the users will interact with the DBMS by means of mapping. So all these are completed till now. Okay, so this is the almost 80% of the syllabus, right? In this in this syllabus, what we discussed till now, we have one important question called as various three level schema. Okay, if it is short answer, we have why database, what database, and various models available in the database. Okay, now now move to the important question called as database management system. Okay, already we discussed DBMS is a software, right, which interacts with the user and which retrieves the data from the database. Okay, so it acts as a interface, as you know the meaning between interaction and interface. Already in this semester we are discussing operating system subject, right? So we discussed OS as a interface between user and a system. That is nothing but mm, there is a technical difference, a technical meaning for interface and interaction. That is interface is a indirect communication between two persons. Okay, whereas interaction is a direct conversation between two persons. If I am a if I am a person dealing with TBMS subject in your class, that is a direct communication. Now I am communicating with you by means of interface called as any application called as OS, like any applications like called as a Zoom or Google Meet or so various applications we have. Okay, Microsoft. Okay, now coming to today's class, we are discussing about what is database management system. Okay, we have a architecture called as DBMS architecture. See, we have a difference called database system architecture, DBMS architecture, that is database management architecture. We have two architectures. Okay, yeah, don't be confused while any external exam question called explain database system architecture. That is three level architecture called as physical, conceptual, and internal. And another, this is a question called as DBMS architecture, that is database management system architecture. Okay, see, understand the terminology. DBS architecture, DBMS architecture. DBS architecture is a three levels. DBMS architecture is also three levels, but what the software deals. Okay, this question is how the software included while retrieving the data from user to user from database. Okay, that is right. See, we have in coming to database management architecture, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 levels, but representatively this is a 3 level, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the conceptual, already you know that external level, conceptual level, internal level. Okay, that is database system architecture. Now we are discussing the implementation or the growth of DBMS architecture, how the DBMS software interact with user, conceptual level, and internal storage or internal level. DBMS architecture has 3 levels. Simple. Okay, now I think you are getting. DBS architecture has 3 levels. That is how the user can retrieve the data from these 3 levels called as DBMS. What are various levels means? 3 levels. How we retrieve the data by means of 3 levels means DBMS architecture. I hope you understand. Clear? Right. We have 3 levels as we discussed, but the implementation of DBMS has 4 things called as various users. The conceptual level is divided into 2 categories called as query processor and storage manager, and finally database storage or disk storage. Okay, right. We have 4 important components in DBMS architecture. First one is various users, second one is query processor, third one is various components in storage manager, and finally internal structure called as disk storage. Okay, coming to this is the diagram. This is the diagram for DBMS architecture. We have first concept, we have various types of users called as naive users, application programmers, sophisticated users, and DBA, database administrator. Okay, and we have various tools that perform by different persons. We have various tools which is operated by various types of users. If naive users, they operate by means of interface. If it is an application programmer, he can operate by means of a application programs. If it is a sophisticated users, he can operate by means of query tools. And database administrator is a person who have all the capabilities to run these tools called as administration tools. Okay, I hope you understand. These 4 persons are different users who interact our system by means of different tools. Okay, clear? Next, this is the first level, and second level is already we discussed conceptual level, but the conceptual level is divided into 2 categories called as query processor and storage manager. Okay, the query processor is a high level performer who converts the high level language into which language called as machine level language or low level language. The query processor is a person who takes the above data and convert into below data. The below data consists of this level, which consists of what? Which consists of low level instructions, right? Next person is a storage manager. He is a part in conceptual level. The storage manager is a performer who can retrieve very fastly where the data actually lies in the disk storage. Clear? Storage manager is a person who can interact with directly to a internal structure by means of various components that are available in a storage manager. He retrieves the data in a internal structure in very efficiently, very fast accessing or efficient manner. Okay, clear. And last one is disk storage called as internal level, which consists of data, no instructions, indices, nothing but indexing, and data dictionary as you discussed. And last one is statistical data. Clear? We have different types of users. We'll discuss all these types of users and what are the tasks that performed by the query processor, and what are the components, how it performs in storage manager, and what are the various levels that are available in various components available in disk storage. Okay, clear? Right. First one is, I know, but if you move to the next slide based upon various categories, you can easily understand. Okay, but we have to understand technical words called as naive users, application programmer, sophisticated users, DBA. Next, compiler. Already you are studying this CD language, compiler and linker. Next, DML queries. Next, DDL interpreters, compiler organizer, query evaluation engine. These are various parts. Okay. Okay. This is the architecture, which consists of various components. Okay. Right. Coming to users. First one is naive users. So naive users is nothing but we people. Okay. We people means not based upon DBMS subject. Okay. Just I will tell you a simple question, simple example. If we are going to ATM center, okay, we have a card, okay, we have to withdraw our money. So we don't know the process, how the money comes in ATM, how the action performed in ATM. So without knowing the complete knowledge about the processing, but accessing that database is called as, that person is called as naive users or parametric end user. Naive user or parametric end user. So without knowing the complete knowledge about the database, a person who is accessing the database are called as naive users. Okay. Next, second, we discussed example. We have a railways ticket booking users or naive users. They don't know the process how the booking can be done, but they finally book the ticket. Okay. Similarly, in ATM, we don't know how the process of money is coming in ATM, but we are taking money. Okay. Simple. Next, application programmer. So application programmers are back-end programmers who writes the code for the application programs. That is nothing but the application programmers are nothing but who writes the code in application. That is nothing but ATM center. So whatever the task that is happening, that is nothing but moving money from one collection of one currency to another currency called as 500 notes, 100 notes, or 2000 notes. This program was done by the application programmer. Okay, that is nothing but who writes the code, who executes the code, who have complete knowledge about the process of execution are called as application program. Actually, we have various languages called as, already we know the various languages called as C, Fortran, COBOL, Java, developer, all comes under the application program. Next, sophisticated users. See, this is already we discussed naive users, don't know complete knowledge about database. So how you are accessing the database, this is the concept. Like graphical user interface. He don't know the complete knowledge about database, but accessing the database. How he can access in the database means by means of interfaces. Interfaces are nothing but graphical user interface. Okay, that is nothing but we are the persons. Simple. I'm not playing PUBG, but you play PUBG, right? You are very familiar with playing PUBG. Okay, but I am not. Okay, so how one person kills another one? Just you drag that person from one place to another place. But coding, we don't know about how the process is going on. But we will drag that person from one place to another place. How means we will swap guns, all these things, right? All should be identified by means of programming language. But as a user, we don't know the complete knowledge about the program. We are accessing, we are means naive users, are accessing particular data by means of graphical user interface. Similarly, in ATM also, banking is in a graphical. If you are moving, you are inserting your card, they display some instructions. That instructions makes you process the data. But the instructions can be performed by are written by an application programmer. Okay, right. Naive users he can access by means of application interface. Next one is programmer. already we discussed. He can done by means of application programs. Next one is sophisticated users. Okay, don't anything else, knows the code, but sophisticated users are the users who have complete knowledge about the database language, not the programming. It is a, even the database language is a programming language, but the difference between other languages is nothing but all languages are not directly communicate with databases. Only DBMS will directly communicate with database. Okay, because the whatever the language we are designing, which can retrieve the database. For example, if I'm a person which know full Telugu language, okay, so that the Telugu language is a language who can directly understand to the person called as Telugu people. If I am an English person, I don't know Telugu language, so we have the mediator. Even that English is also a language, but if you want to talk to Telugu people, which the Telugu people is a database, okay, the English people will will communicate with one of the interface called as DBMS. Then DBMS will convert that into Telugu, because DBMS is a language which directly deals with Telugu language. Clear? I hope you understand. Okay, sophisticated users are the users who are familiar with database languages, so he can directly access the database very fastly when compared to remaining languages. Okay, right. They don't write the program code. See here, sophisticated users are the engineers, the scientists, or business analysts, but who are familiar with the database. Okay, they don't write the program code, but they interact with the database by writing which called SQL queries directly through the query processor. I hope you understand. So this one don't know about the language. He knows the language, but it is not a database language. But this person knows the complete knowledge about a complete language about database. Clear? See, all we discussed three persons, but we have an important person called as, fourth one called as DBA, database administrator. So what is the task of a DBA? In exam, they ask a question called as explain the role of DBA or explain various types of users. Okay, so we will write all these things. Okay, what is the task of DBA? So DBA is a person who takes control of all the things, like all these three persons and all these things called as query process, storage manager, and disk storage. He is a person who interacts directly with all the levels, because he is a logical person what we cannot see. Okay, right. DBA is a person who defines the schema. Who defines the schema means what the structure has to be there in database, and also deals with three levels of database. Actual structure has to maintained by the DBA, and accessing of three levels are also maintained by the DBA. So a DBA primary job is to ensure that data is available. Okay, if you are taking a data, he ensures that whether the data is available or not, and protected from loss and corruption. He will protect the whether they should not loss happen. Okay, and easily accessible as needed. He can without any disturbances. Accessing means that is nothing but independence. Okay, without any without by maintaining independence, he can retrieve the data from database to and called as users. Okay, next he creates the ID and password. Okay, all we discussed. So you need to access database. For trusting the database, we maintain ID and password. All we discussed in the labs. Okay, so DB is a person who defines the schema and interacts with three levels. Okay, he have various functionalities, or these functionalities will be comes here. First, we discussed the define the schema. That is the structure of the data, and represented by what? This one, organized. So already we have discussed that organizing is nothing but three levels organization, which structure the data and represented the data in organized manner, and defining storage structure and access method, that is nothing map accessing the data. Okay, third one, liaising with users, that is nothing but he interacts with various peoples called as sophisticated and naive users and application programmers. Okay, these three persons have different retrieved information. One person is different with another one. If I want, for example, consider an employee table. In employee table we have employee id, employee name, employee address. Three fields are available in employee table. One field wants by naive users, one field wants by application programmers, one field want by sophisticated users. So three requirements by three users. Okay, so DBA will use the whatever the request that was done by one of the user. Okay, liaising means whatever the different request that was done by the user, that was given by the DBA. Okay, next, defining security and integrity checks. He maintained, already we discussed that, giving some constraints and giving some usernames and passwords, all this comes under the security and integrity checks. Security means ID and password, integrity means giving some constraints, whether they should not be duplicate. What are saying means there should be redundancy of the data, means there is no duplication of the data. Okay, if there is no duplication of the data means we are providing some constraints called as integrity constraints. So DBA performs security and integrity constraints. Okay, and last one is backupping and recovery. So if any losses happen, power loss or any transaction losses happen, so the DBA will perform backup. Okay, whatever the task till now happened, after restart it starts from whatever the middle of the task is happened, not from starting onwards. Okay, next, monitoring performance. Monitoring performance means the task of independence is happening or not. That is nothing but monitoring means checking whatever the user is request, that is nothing mapping from user to database is in the correct manner or not. Okay, and assistance to application programmers, so that is nothing but it helps to application software engineers to create application program. Okay, so that is nothing but whatever the we discussed that ER model. ER model is nothing but one of the assistants to application programmer. That is nothing but whatever the data that is available in a table, before the constructing the table, the data is in the form of ER model, that is picture model, so that the user can easily understand that model. That is an expert or the application programmer is easily understand that particular picture representation, then he can easily write the code based upon the picture representation. The assistance to application programmers. And last one is he repairs damage caused due to hardware or software failures. So all we will discuss. Okay, next, so the role of DBA means first one is defining the schema, next accessing data, next liaising with the users, next security and integrity checks and backup and monitoring performance, next assistance to application programmers and failure of any hardware and software. Okay, this can be written. Okay, I hope you understand the concept of various users. Okay, next, coming to this one, this is completed. So these are the tools, are the SQL tools. So already we discussed interfaces, programming languages, query tools. Now SQL language, and he has a various tools, administration tools, which cannot seen by the all these three users. Okay, this can be. Okay, next, coming to important concept called as query processor. Okay, in query processor we have some important components called as, first one is compiler and linker, next DML queries, next DDL interpreters. See, Before going to discuss why we have DDL, that is nothing but data definition language. Okay, why this DDL is maintained by the DBA means the structure of table can be in the form of, and the structure of table is created by means of DDL language only. Okay, are you understanding? The structure of table, that is a schema, is created by DDL command called as create. So DBA has defined the schema, so he have DDL interpreters. Clear? Next, users, that is, this is my sophisticated users. This is nothing but who can retrieve the database. Retrieving the database is by means of DML language. I hope you are understanding very well. Okay, DDL is a language, that is nothing but DDL language is one of the part in SQL language. Already we discussed SQL language has two types. Relation language is two types called as DML and DDL. We have various languages called as DCL also there, data control language. Okay, so DDL is to create the structure, define the structure. DML is to retrieve the data from the database. So sophisticated users are users who can retrieve a part of data by means of which queries? DML queries. So he uses tools called as query tools, such that only these two can be maintained by DBA. See this one, only these two. This DBA is not performing here. DBA is not performing here because he can understand this language. Okay, but all should be maintained by DML queries. If all these two comes under here and it maintains again to DML queries, that is nothing but, see, if application programmers written in Java is converting, Java is compiled and can be moved to the DML queries. Interface is also moved directly to the DML queries. So, but if you take these two, compiler and linker done was done by the programmer, next naive users done by the application object code, directly goes to his data, directly goes to DML queries, and it will maintain by again administration tools. Okay, all we will discuss. Okay, after converting all these 1 2 3 4, I hope you understand. 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, it can be implemented by 4, which can be retrieved by means of 4. Okay, all these 4 are moved to one of the compiler and organizer and moves to query evaluation engine. Clear? I hope you understand, right? So now you have an important concept called as query processor. Okay, now we will discuss all these things, no problem. When you see the diagram, you can understand what is going on. Okay, see this. Already I say that query processor is a processor which can convert expression into high level to low level. Okay, it is a stepwise process. It is a stepwise process that can be used at physical level of the file system. Physical level of the file system. Query optimization and actual execution of the query to get the result. That is nothing but this is a step-by-step process means here. So it is a step-by-step process. After one task, it moves to another task. After one task, it moves to another task. After final task is physical structure. Okay, there. Okay, it is a stepwise process that can be used at physical level of the file system. Physical level of the file system. The performance is query optimization and execution of the query to get the result. Okay. Next, it requires the basic concepts of relational algebra and file structure. Okay, see, this is the the query processor takes the DML data or DDL data, but the execution of the query processor is done by query processor, even though the language that comes as SQL, but the query processor understand the language called as relational algebra. Okay, we will discuss that relational algebra in second unit. So that is an ER models, relational algebra all comes under second unit. Okay, but you understand that query processor task is conversion of high level to low level language, and he can interact with file system and optimization of query to get the result, and he get the result by means of a relational algebra. So it refers to the range of activities that are involved in extracting data from the database. Okay, so we will actually understand how these queries are processed and how they are optimized. Okay, now our task is how the queries are processed and how they are optimized. How the queries are processed and how they are optimized. Process is nothing but by means of relational algebra, and how they are optimized is nothing but how they can get the result. Okay, right, this is C. This diagram is a complete structure of query processing. So first one is, it takes a data called as, the first step we discussed, it takes a data called as high level language and converts into called as low level expression. It takes high level language and converts into which one is called as low level expression, called as database language. Okay, now it is a step by step process. It is a step by step process. That is nothing but converting a data from file system to physical system. That is nothing but by means of a step by step means it has a parser, optimizer and evaluation engine. Parser, optimizer and evaluation engine. These three are the various tasks that was done from high level language to low level language. Okay, right. 1 second. We have first step is to transform the query into a standard form. We have a high level language called SQL language. We are transforming this high level language into standard form. That standard form is called as relational algebra. Okay, next, a query is translated into SQL and into a relational algebraic expression. During this process, parser checks the syntax and verifies the relations and the attributes which are used in the query. That is nothing but once the SQL is converted into relational algebra, now the parser task is it checks whatever we are giving the expression has syntax and semantic manner or not. Syntax is nothing but which has some rules. A language which has some rules. For example, if you see that in C language, we say that every statement should ends with semicolon. This is a rule. If you are not give semicolon in a statement, automatically it gives error because the syntax is not accepted. Similarly, if you are writing query, the query is nothing but it has to in a form of syntax. That is nothing but, for example, consider to construct a table, we use create table name, followed by open parenthesis, followed by your language, that is nothing but attributes, space, followed by data type, followed by size, next followed by comma, followed by next attribute. This is the syntax, and all the attributes are completed, you have to end with close braces and ends with semicolon. This is original syntax. Okay, if you are not writing anything else according to the syntax of SQL, it is error. Okay, similarly, next it checks syntax and verifies the semantics. Semantics is nothing but which has the meaning or not. Syntax is nothing but rule. Semantics is nothing but meaning. So parser checks whatever the expression that was given by the user has syntax and semantics. If it has syntax and semantics, then only translate. Otherwise, it gives error. DBA will use the error because it is not in a form of structure parser. Okay, clear? You understand? So that is nothing but after this parser, it moves to the important concept called as query optimizer. So the second step is query optimizer. So here see, compiler. Okay, next, first one is this one, second one this one. Compiler has what three ones? Three tasks. Parser. Next one is what we are discussing, optimizer. This is optimizer. And last one is evaluation engine. This is evaluation engine. So these three tasks are called as syntax and semantics. Next one is optimizer. Third one is evaluation engine. Clear? So the optimizer is, it transforms the query into equivalent expressions that are more efficient to execute. So see here, see clear, it is not connected to database, but these two are connected to database. This database has some language called as indices, low-level instructions, data dictionary. Clear? Okay. So the query optimizer converts whatever the expression that was taken by the parser and which is given to database catalog. That is nothing but metadata, data dictionary, all comes under database catalog. And last one is query evaluation. That is nothing but which is converted that language into zeros and ones. Okay, it executes the above query execution plan and returns the result. Clear? I hope you understand. SQL language is converted simply. I am summarizing the concept of query process. Okay, we will move like this. You can easily understand. See, it has three steps called as parsers, or these are parsers, and optimizer and evaluation engine. Okay, the parser and interpreter task is to check syntax and semantics of query languages. After converting the syntax and semantics, after checking syntax and semantics in a SQL, it transfers that expression into query optimizer. Query optimizer directly access the data by means of database catalog. 1, 2, 3, 4, these are database catalogs. So data dictionary is nothing but metadata, right? Data dictionary is a metadata. So we can fastly access the data. There is no need of performing all these storage manager. Okay, there is no need to, if the data that is available in query optimizer directly access the data. If it is not available in the data, then it takes the data from all these components, or that we will discuss. Okay, so query optimizer is a optimizer who can retrieve data very fastly by means of database catalog. After database catalog perform, the data is moved to evaluation, where our SQL language conversion is happened in evaluation engine to retrieve the data to the user. To retrieve the data to the user. Okay, I hope you understand. Okay. Next, after performing query processor, you are going to storage manager. Storage manager is nothing but he is the person who checks the database languages task. That is nothing but storage manager is a program module which is responsible for storing, retrieving, and updating data in the database. So whatever you are maintaining, what you are maintaining called as DDL, DML, compiler languages, all should be maintained by person called as storage manager. Task was done by the query processor, which is maintained by the storage manager. Okay, so clear. We have four important components called as in storage manager. We have four important components called as after evaluation engine. After data, the result is given to the user. By performing result, we have four important components called as transaction manager, authorization and integrity manager, file manager, and buffer manager. So first we go to the authorization and integrity manager. So authorization and the integrity manager is a manager who can checks the database. All these four persons check the database directly. Okay, but this query processor directly which cannot communicate directly with disk storage, but the storage manager directly communicate with database. Okay, the conceptual level has two categories: query processor and storage manager. Query processor task is conversion of your language. Storage manager task is whatever the conversion language is happened, which has to placed in database. Okay, right, I hope you understand. Authorization and integrity manager is a manager which takes or which checks the constraints that are available in the database or not, checking the security conditions, checking the constraints can done by the authorization and integrity manager. Next, transaction manager. Transaction manager is a manager who checks the acid properties, whether the acid properties are performing or not. Acid properties are nothing but atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. That is nothing but if you take a bank transaction, already we discussed, if you take the bank transaction, the transaction is happening or not, whether it is happening or whether it is happened or whether it is in between the transaction. All the process was checked by a manager called as transaction manager. Next, buffer manager. Buffer manager is a manager who can performs the actions of taking the external data into main memory. That is, whatever you are retrieving the data, whatever you are storing the data is in external memory. That is nothing but hard secondary memory. But if that execution has to happen, we have to bring that data in main memory or in a cache. Okay, whatever the data that is available in a secondary memory has to move to in primary memory by means of a manager called as buffer manager. So checking the cache process and checking the whether the data, whatever the user is retrieving the data which lies in secondary memory has to move to the primary memory was done by the buffer manager. And last one is file manager. File manager is a manager who checks the collection of all the records are available or not in a database, in a disk storage. Okay, so we have 4 important managers called as authorization and integrity manager. Simply, he checks the integrity constraints for authorization of user to access the data. Next, transaction manager to ensure that no kind of change will be brought to the database until a transaction. Transaction is important process in a transaction manager. The 5th unit is a transaction manager. 6th unit is a file manager and buffer manager. Okay. Next, file manager allocation of space. That is nothing but whether the data, whether the storage. For example, you are copying a one file to your in your device. So, if there is no memory space in your mobile or your device, there will be a caution or there will be a notice that available to you. That notice is running low space or there is no enough space. This task was done by the file manager. That is allocating spaces, checking the spaces whether the memory has or not was done by the file manager. And last one is the buffer manager. That is nothing but decides which data is in need to be cached in main memory and then fetch up into main memory. So this is the task we have in storage manager. We have 4 important managers. So this is the process that was done by the storage manager. That is, user gives his data. Next, data manager checks. Data manager is nothing but these two: authorization and integrity manager and transaction manager. This checks by whether which has some constraints or not, or the transaction is correct or not. After it is good, it moves to the file manager. The file manager processes whether the space is available or not. If the space is available, then it goes to the buffer manager. Now the action is happened so that he can take the data from the database and process the same vice versa to the user. Request to the record, request to the file, and go to the database. Similarly, it gets the file, it gets the record is given to the user. Okay. And last one is index, called as disk storage. It's called as in disk storage. Disk storage, that is nothing but internal level. Already we discussed this one. Actual data is our raw data. Next one is indices, data dictionary, and statistical data. So indices is nothing but indexing type in your textbook. Okay. Instead of going to retrieve your data, your chapter or your content, instead of going to the directly to the particular content for fast accessing where actual data lies is, we check the indices. Based on indexing, we can go to particular chapter and we can retrieve the data. Similarly, all the data that was in disk storage is in the form of metadata. So by means of indexing, the metadata can easily retrieve. Okay. Next, data dictionary. Already that is at your metadata. For example, this is a query we will discuss one class. I want to say one important topic. The DBMS subject is a combination of lab and theory. If you know how the creation is happening, how you are retrieving the data, you can easily understand what is going on. But this is a online class, so for that I don't want to disturb the lab section by performing lab section. But I have an idea, that is, we will do one lab task. After completion of this unit, we will do one lab task, 1 or 2 lab tasks, so that you can understand the scenario or the structure of DBMS language. Okay. So this is the retrieving query. What is a select, what is star, all we will discuss. Okay. If the user, this is a DB underscore tables. Okay. If I want to say one thing, for example, you have a table called as employee. Okay. In the table, you have a data. If you want the complete data, what we have, see, we can say that in a table called an employee, we have 7 records, okay, 7 rows. If you want to see all 7 rows, then there is a query called as select star from table name. Select star from table name. See, select star from table name. If you give select star from table name, you can retrieve all the table content data. Okay, but if I want all the tables that available in your database, then by means of a data dictionary called select star from DBA underscore tables. These are nothing but all the tables that are available in the particular database, and where your table want particular one, so that you can retrieve particular attribute data. Particular attribute data we have in a table name which have tables. For example, ID. I want ID. I have 7 tables in database. I have 7 tables. Among 7 tables, there are 7 IDs. If I want all 7 IDs, this is the command. If I want particular ID, then there is no DB underscore tables. Just you give the select star from your table name like this one. Select star from table name like your ID. Then automatically it gives your ID. If I want 7 IDs of 7 different tables, then you write this command. No problem. I will discuss the queries next class after completion of this unit. And last one is statistical database, which is used for statistical analysis purpose. So it is called as OLAP instead of OLTP. See, in third year, next semester, there is a subject called as data warehousing. Okay, in 4.1 there is a subject called as big data. So this is an interlink of DBMS, database, data warehouse, followed by Hadoop or big data, followed by machine learning. Okay, our database is a OLTP, that is nothing but online transaction process, day to day, daily transaction we will discuss. But OLAP is a task. It takes a historical data, that is nothing but data warehouse. We store huge amount of the data. In database we say that we are storing huge amount of data. In data warehouse also we are saying we are storing huge amount of data. But the difference here is, in OLTP, that is nothing but DBMS, we store day-to-day transactions, whereas in data warehouse, that is nothing but OLAP, we store historical data also. Okay, we will discuss that OLAP in next, not in unit, next semester. Okay, that's it. I hope you understand the concept. But remaining, we have only one topic called as client server architecture. We will discuss that client server architecture in the next class. See you in next class. Thank you.